And with the passion of not comparing your grief also, and the grief requires one thing. It requires a safe, compassionate container inside which to run its course. The more you give yourself that space, the more the grief will move through you, and faster you'll find yourself on the dry, solid ground that just up on the other side of the pain. That's just up on the other side of the pain. Again, that I reiterated that twice because you want to be on the other side of the pain. It is so important that we bring compassion to the pain and don't compare. And those are just some of the things that I'm going over that helps transform us from grief to gratitude. Another one that I discussed on last week, and just recapping, is let the tears surge through you full force. When you do that, it is so important to just feel the pain, let it absorb, and don't adhere to the messages that we heard as we're growing up, or even some of us as adults still hear it when we are going through the grief process. Stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about. We probably heard that more as a child. Crying is weak. When we hear those things or have heard those things, even starting out younger, we become disconnected with the waterworks of life at that time, meaning that we disconnect and we feel like when we are feeling some type of hurt or pain that we should not cry, we should not feel it. We're supposed to put a mask on and just move on with life, as they say, and just not even think about it. But that's not really good, because what happened is when you do come and are faced with obstacles or traumatic loss or something detrimental to you, you don't know how to deal with it because you're so used to just putting on a mask and covering it up. And so that's why my show was called Unmasking the Pain, because of things that we have had to mask, and we have been told that we had to mask or put a mask on all our lives or suppress. It's just like if a dam breaks and we have no choice but to surrender and fall apart. The falling apart is essential. I've cried more during this process of grief probably than I've ever did in my life, because I actually allowed the pain to come. I've actually allowed myself to be able to express the loss of my daughter. And because before, those things were said to me too. Oh, move on. She's an angel in heaven. And, things that I'm not saying weren't true, but those were things that I did not want to hear or needed to hear at the time. I just needed more of a support, or more of just confident, someone to comfort me. I needed someone to listen. So those are the things. And I also use as another analogy is it's like you and a friend. You're at a restaurant or you're somewhere out eating, and you're somehow the particular food that you have, you got sick. Well, one friend goes to the hospital to find out that they had food poison, and the other friend just feels as though I'm just gonna just let it ride it out. I'm going to sleep it off, or I'm just going to go at home. Well, that friend went to get help. So they're getting the necessary help that they need, even though they're in pain, and they probably still have to go through it with the help of medication or whatever the physician feels that person need. They're getting better. The other person is just dealing with the pain and just, probably not getting any better. Or better yet, another analogy is, you have a broken leg. You're not going to just sit and just stay in pain. You're going to go to see an orthopedic doctor. And if it is broken, you're going to get a cast put on. And after the cast is put on, you're going to go through physical therapy. So there, you're moving through the process or moving through the steps that you need to become to get better, for your leg, or your legs to start working better, or your leg. You just didn't sit at home and just endure the pain and just say, oh, you know what, I'm going to let this leg heal on its own. It's the same way with grief. You have to do things in order to be able to move forward from the grief process. So it's important that it's important to do the things that I said before. So the next one I want to talk about is reach out to support. And that's the ditto what I just said. If you had a broken leg, broken arm, or anything where you had to go, see an orthopedic surgeon, or an orthopedic doctor, and maybe you didn't have to have surgery, but you had to have a cast put on. And when you had the cast put on, after that, you probably still have to go through therapy. So you're going to follow through with your therapy so that you can gain that strength back in that leg, or whatever it needs to be for that leg to be able to function purposely. So again, let's do what we need to do to reach out for support. And with that said, you can talk to a trusted friend. You can seek professional help, whether that be a psychiatrist, if you're referred to one, a life coach that deals with grief, a grief coach, and there are help out there that you can get for that. So you don't have to go through it alone. And when you go with a friend, that friend doesn't even have to say anything. Maybe you don't want that friend to say anything. You just want that friend to give you a hug. You may just want that friend to, put their arm in your arm, and just listen to what you have to say. Sometimes when you're going through the grief process, that's all you need, is someone just to listen. I know a lot of times we have children, or let's just say you don't have kids, but you have someone that you don't want to really lose it in front of, like cry or just have a grief outburst, because those are things that you will have. You can go months and months, like I said, and don't have it. You could just be sitting in the parking lot, or you can smell a perfume or a cologne, or you could just see something that reminds you of that person. And when that happens, and you have a grief outburst, those are the times, and you may be with someone at that time. Let's just say you are with a close friend or someone that's trusted at that time. Don't hold it back. It's okay to be able to express that feeling at that time, or you might have to just walk away and tell that friend that you just need a few minutes. So it's however or whatever that you need to do in that process when you're going through that at that time, that will determine, or you will know what you need for support. And trust the process. Trust the process of how you're feeling. Trust what it is. If it's something that did happen to cause you to have a trigger and it was not a positive thing, learn how to take care of yourself. Learn how to revert it into something positive, especially if it's a language that's being used that is not resonating well with you. And all that is support, believe it or not. Because if the person that you're with and you start this outburst of grief outburst is what it's called, and that friend says something to you that is not kind, that you feel is not kind, they may feel that it's kind, you will 9 times out of 10 have to walk away, get yourself together, and come back again. And once things have calmed down, tell that friend that this is what they said and this is what should have been said that can help you. Because support is all about having positive support. And that's what you will learn during your grief process, or during the grief for you. You will learn what resonates, the people that resonate with you, the people that you need to be around, the people that you don't need to be around. And it's okay to express yourself. A lot of times, as I've said before, people don't like to express themselves when they're going through the grief process, because they feel like no one will understand. They feel like no one cares. They feel like they don't have a good support system. But a lot of time, if that person really cares for you, love you, they will take what you say and they will acknowledge it, and they will utilize the whatever it is that you said. Rather it be, instead of saying death, say loss. I know for a long time, death, didn't resonate with me. I still have some times when I don't like to hear the word. So a lot of times I say loss, and sometimes I have to tell people, I have to let them know. And it's okay if someone is not ready to accept what you're going through or what you need, because you're the one that's going through the grief and the loss. They are not. And if they can't support you, it's okay. There's a lot of help and support out there. Again, a lot of times we don't know what we need when we're going through grief. But a lot of times if you just reach out, there's a lot of people out there that have been through it. They have maybe not had the same experience as you, but I always say grief is grief, and loss is loss. It may not be the way that I experience it or the person that I experience from, but it's your loss, it's your grief, and people have to respect that. And if there's someone that if that person really loves and supports you, they'll understand. Because during that time, you need that. You need someone to be passive, to be able to understand and hear what you're saying. And the last one I want to talk about is connecting with the gratitude and rebirth. So when you're connecting with the gratitude and rebirth, as I've said before, it's a new beginning for you. It's a new you. You're conforming to a lot of new things that have changed in your life. So if you follow the last 4 steps and you connect to your gratitude will occur effectively in random moments throughout the day. But you have to follow the process. It's not something that you just have to just think it's going to happen overnight. A lot of times it has to be repeatedly that you have to do it, but you have to try, because the main goal is getting to the rebirth, getting to that new norm of what you consider the new you. And so trust the process. Immediately after I lost my 16-year-old daughter, I went through a lot of the phases that I talked about. Some of the things like not taking care of myself, not getting sleep, not being able to, instead of telling people how I needed support or the languages or the words that they should use that I needed because they were sending so much triggers, I referred to isolate myself. And isolating myself, I myself reached out for professional help when there were people that were saying, oh, you're strong, you're the matriarch of the family, your other kids need you. And there were a lot of things that I surrounded myself with people that just didn't know how to support me, nor did I know how to tell them to support me. It wasn't even fear, it was the fact that I did not know at the time myself. I knew, but I didn't know how to articulate it. I didn't know how to tell people what I needed because of fear of them, of losing a friendship or losing a family member. So, it's so important that you connect to gratitude and rebirth. And with that, take whatever loss that you have had and with incorporating old traditions into new traditions is one way that you can rebirth. And when you're rebirthing, you are actually given life again on the terms that you know it at that time. And for each person is different. Again, like I said, from my experience, and me sharing my story with you was overwhelming at the time, but it was great. I'm so glad that I have you all as a family listening to me, so that it's like you all experience, you all, I share the story, but again, I'm also grateful and have gratitude for where I am. To the loss took me to a new rebirth, a rebirth of the person that I am now. I lived through Jasmine. Jasmine is the lifeline that allows me to be able to help other parents, other siblings, other people that are still going through the grief process, or going through loss. So, you know, I'm so grateful for so many things. It helped me to be able to rebirth into loving people more, loving the ones that I took for granted. Thinking that they're always going to be there. I've always loved my children, but even loving them even more. Not taking that, oh, I'll see them the next time, for granted. Even when problems and situations arise, because challenges will arise in our relationships with our families, with our children, with our friends, with our co-workers, but not taking it past the limit of leaving and not making peace. So rebirth can mean a lot of things for people, because you're rebirthing into a new person. Her death allowed me to be able to speak to others, to be able to be this life coach that I am now, to be able to allow people to come to me with their pain, to come to me with their unawareness, with their anger, with their stress. And I am able to not help them, but I'm able to walk through the wilderness of the journey of grief with them. So rebirthing is an awesome thing. It will allow you to be able to take the memory of your loved one and plant it into things that are of life meaning. Because see, life is a journey, and it comes to all of us regardless of our economic circumstances, our culture, our skin color. It doesn't matter, rich, poor, whether you're a celebrity, whether you're not. So it's something that we cannot hide from. We cannot get away from regardless. So I am so honored that I'm here for you all. I'm here to be able to be of great support. And I know people say that, oh, I just can't talk to someone. I just don't know how to. It is so important. Grief, and it's so true. And that 2% of other areas that it affected me. And so I know that from my own experience. You don't get help for it. So therefore it affects, your performance on your job. It affects the way that you have a relationship with other family members, be it your spouse, your children, extended families. And life is so beautiful. So you don't want those things to happen. Like I always say, I've always known and to be the matriarch of the family, to be strong. I even had a cousin, email me during that time and said, oh, you have to be strong. We didn't raise weak women in our families. And all that, made me say, oh, wow, I can't hurt. But you know what? That pain and the hurt that I went through, it made me who I am today. If I did not cry, if I did not go seek professional help, if I did not reach out to someone, I would not be here today. I would not. I would not be here to share my story. I would not be able to tell you all about Jasmine, about Jasmine's life, and about all the pain and heartaches that I went through. And like I said again, we all deal with grief differently. You know, some people can take those words and hear those things and they actually literally take it and they don't do anything about their grief. And it, you know, they find that 10 years from now that they have unresolved grief that has caused so much other problems in their lives that pretty much could have been avoided. You know, all because we are known to be strong women, you know, strong black women. And again, I vow the difference. I became weak. I became someone that I had to kneel down. I was put on my knees. And if it wasn't for that, I would not come back as strong as I did or as strong as I am now. Do I still have my days when my rebirth is difficult? Of course I do, because I'm human. But with the process that I have repeated, that I have connected with, that I've tried over and over again, because I knew that it was so important. It was important not only for me, but my other children, my grandchild. It was so important that I conform to something that was positive. So Jasmine's death was definitely traumatic for me. And if I could change it again, I would. But I can't. There's no way that I can. I had no control over it. So what I do is I incorporate the old traditions into the new traditions with things that I do just in honor of her. Even if my other children or my other family is not involved with it, it's something that helps me. I take just even holidays. You know, everybody is really into the holiday spirit, and they are all, you know, everyone is so excited. And again, you know, I know Jasmine was big on holidays, so what I do is I just have my own special holiday that I celebrate her life. I celebrate what could be or what it is now. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my granddaughter. I'm grateful for being able to breathe on my own. I'm grateful for being intelligent, beautiful. I'm grateful for this radio show, being allowed an opportunity to be a voice not only but for me, but for Jasmine. And also for everyone else that cannot express themselves or know how to express themselves. And I am so honored. I'm humbly honored to be a part of the WDRB Media station for allowing me this opportunity to be a voice in the community. And I would like to be able to go out, and I will go out, and I will speak about grief to gratefulness, grief to gratitude, because it's so important to help others to be able to just profound that death or that loss of a loved one into a rebirth. And that rebirth, you will find, will be so amazing, because in that rebirth, the memories, the thoughts, the challenges, everything is compounded into the gratefulness of your loved one. Because without having to love someone, we would not have grieved. You have to love in order to grieve. Because you love that person is why we grieve. It is why I grieve. So I'm honored to be able again, to be able to be a voice for the community. And as I always say, life is here. It is now. It is waiting for you. Thank you for tuning in to WDRB Media. Thank you for listening to Unmasking the Pain with Andrea Manigat. And I will be speaking with you soon. I want to say that part over. Can I?
Yes, I just had to. I stopped the live.
Oh, okay.
Okay.